Hi everyone and welcome to part 2 of the tutorial for El Vaquero. First of all, let me roll the Patreon credits. If you want to support me and the channel and gain access to some nice extras along the way, then please head over to the Patreon page and see what I have on offer there. If you are getting a lot out of these tutorials and want to show your support without monthly fees, then there is a PayPal tip jar as well. Both links are down below in the description. I hope you have gotten the intro and the first part of the verse down by now. If you have, then the second part of the verse probably won't throw anything at you that you can't handle. Tommy keeps using the same hammer-on technique, and exactly like in the first tutorial, I'm happy to tell you in advance that I have found alternative fingerings for all the chords that use the thumb over the side of the neck. But the solution in this case is a bit unorthodox. You'll see what I mean soon enough. Now let's get straight to work. Now we are heading into the next section and the thumb over the side of the neck is going to become a lot more prominent. Let me play through that section just one time. This is the part where Tommy is moving up the neck. Now let's just stop it right there. So these are not easy fingerings, but again, good news, there are alternatives for those of you who aren't accustomed to using the thumb over the side of the neck. First of all, Tommy's fingerings. Thumb over the side of the neck on the first fret, then open D string, middle finger second fret on the G string, pinky third fret on the B string, and then starting with an open E string, hammering onto the first fret. So the first chord sounds a bit dissonant with that D and that E on top of rubbing shoulders. That's gone as soon as you hammer onto the first fret. So hammer on in between, so 1 and 2, and then the bass note follows. 1 and again just re-pick that first fret. Same thing, hammering on from the open string to the first fret. As you arrive on the first fret, play the bass note at the exact same moment. Really slowly. And that is sort of becoming the signature trick in this song, and you will see it's gonna be that way all the way up the neck. So one more time. D over F sharp, we're moving the thumb to the second fret, adding in the D chord. Easy part, so you're just keeping down that D chord with the thumb over the side of the neck on the second fret, playing the chord just once, and then just completing the bass line, alternating between the low E string and the D string. That bar all the way through. I'm playing this now mostly by using single strings for the melody. Tommy often adds in one of those other chord tones as well, for instance using the B string together with the E string to flesh it out a little bit more, but this is the most basic version. Now, what can we do for those of you who aren't accustomed to using the thumb over the side of the neck? We are going to have to change the first chord just a little bit, and maybe even the second chord, depending on what route you want to take. We're going to have to use a full bar. This brings along two problems. One, that open A string, and two, that open D string in the bass line. So normally the bass pattern would be to an open D string. We can't do that if we're using a bar. So we're going to have to add in the ring finger on the third fret, alternating between two F notes instead of an F and an open D note. Second thing is that open E string. We're going to get around to that in a second. So the chord voicing will be bar across all 6 strings, ring finger on the third fret, D string, middle finger on the second fret on the G string, pinky on the third fret on the B string. This is still giving you the same F6th chord you had while using this voicing without the ring finger. And now the tricky part is you're going to have to hammer on with the bar, which is really strange in the beginning, but it actually works fine. You're keeping down the rest of the chord, which is masking that movement of the bar, so try to keep the chord ringing out as long as possible. Try to get that working first, just hammering on with that bar on the first fret of the top string. And the rest is exactly the same, hammering on 1 and 2 and then that last hammer on, landing together with the bass note, and then try to add in the rest of the chord tones. At this point, that D note is still ringing out, sort of masking everything what is happening down below here with the bar. Then, moving on to the D chord, there are two options. Either you go for this voicing, so you're ending up on that chord, you go for this, allowing you to play the second fret on the low E string and the open D string as Tommy would do, playing the exact same thing. So index finger, second fret, open D string, middle finger, second fret, pinky, third fret, ring finger, second fret. But that shift is quite quick. Moving from that bar chord to this chord can give a bit of problems. So especially in the really high tempos, if you're aiming for that ultimate Tommy tempo, then this might actually be an easier solution, moving from this to this. The only thing that is different now is you're not playing an open D string, but you're playing the 4th fret and F sharp. You're still playing a D chord with an F sharp in the bass. Bar across all 6 strings, then adding in the ring finger on the 4th fret of the D string, bar 2nd fret on the G string, middle finger 3rd fret, and then bar on the 2nd fret on top. This is still the exact same chord, only that middle bass note has been changed. So see what works for you. If you have to work with the hammer-on either to this chord or can be a little bit easier depending on how quick you can change from a bar chord to an open chord. So that's sort of the summary. Those are the only 2 chords where you needed the thumb over the side of the neck, and those have been taken care of now. So if you really struggle with the thumb, take a look at these 2 options and you should be good to go. On to the rest of the song. So we have those first 2 bars. Exact same move, G chord, this time with the pinky on top, 3rd fret on the high E string. The rhythm is the exact same thing as in the previous bar. And basically the same move we did before, going from the F sharp, going from the C sharp to the D. Now we're going from the F sharp to the G. The technique is the exact same thing, playing the melody note, and as you hammer on, landing on the correct bass note. Keeping down the pinky, moving it up 1 fret, adding in index finger 2nd fret on the D string, ring finger 4th fret on the G string, middle finger 3rd fret on the B string, to give you an E dominant 7th chord. And again, we're just like we did on the D chord, just playing the chord and going through the bass line. Let's play that back to back. So by now that hammering on onto the bass note, timing that out right, should sort of start coming natural. You've done it so many times now in this song alone, so I hope that is starting to click. Let me play those first 2 bars moving up the neck back to back. One more time without the thumb over the side of the neck. And then up up the rest of the neck, moving up with this little arpeggio trick Tommy is doing. That's the very last part of the verse. Now, that first chord section is quite a stretchy voicing, quite a wide voicing. So you're starting with an A minor chord, bar on the 5th fret, adding in the ring finger on the 7th fret on the D string, and you're going to have to add in with the pinky on the 9th fret on the B string a G sharp. Now, if this is giving you problems, because this is sort of a strange stretch between the ring finger and the pinky, you might want to try and play that same chord voicing with the middle finger on the 7th fret instead of the ring finger. That might make a difference for a lot of you. This just feels a little bit easier to me than using the ring finger and stretching out to that 9th fret. So either Tommy does play this, or you could just play this as well, which makes the stretch a little bit easier. If you play it at really high speeds, it doesn't really matter because it passes by so quickly. But if you're practicing this slow, then this or this can make a huge difference in how relaxed you can keep your left hand. The picking pattern isn't too difficult. That's the first bit. So bass note together with the middle finger on the high E string while keeping down the bar at the 5th fret. Middle finger, index finger, pluck in the G string, and then thumb pick on the D string. And then adding in that 9th fret on the B string to the low E string. And rounding it out with just an open E bass string and the bass note on the D string. One more melody note, sorry, forgot about that. On the high E string, you're still keeping down the bar at the 5th fret. That's the pattern. If you play this, you can really hear that G sharp on the 9th fret and that A note on the 5th fret on the E string really clash, really fight with each other. It's no surprise they're only a half step apart. So it's just 1 fret difference. So if you play it slowly, it's fighting. You can really hear that. Once you speed it up, that tension is gone. It just becomes a melody going. That's basically what the melody is doing. One more time, really slowly. And now you're playing the exact same picking pattern on the next chord. Tommy uses a full bar across the 7th fret, middle finger 8th fret on the B string, ring finger 9th fret on the D string, and Tommy adds in the pinky on the 10th fret on the A string, but he never plays it. So it goes to show that Tommy is looking at this section or playing a G chord with a B bass note down below, but he's actually never playing the G note on the 10th fret on the A string. So Tommy will always finger this section like this. Since we don't really need that pinky over there, and I often struggle getting the rest of the chord clear, I tend to leave it out. So this is what it sounds like if you just play it like Tommy does. Which is, that's what Tommy is doing. The fact that that pinky is there always makes me want to go for that bass string as well. So I find it that I play just a little more clearly and a little more consequently right each and every time if I just leave out that pinky. It doesn't make a difference in the sound. So this is with the pinky, without the pinky, and I find it a little bit easier to put the right amount of pressure on the bar. So I'm leaving out the pinky. If you want to play it exactly like Tommy does, then just add it in, but you're not using it in any way during this section. The picking pattern is the exact same thing. But it's a lot easier now because you're not doing that stretch. So again, thumb and middle finger plucking the low and the high E string, index finger bass note, middle finger to the B string, back to a low bass note, rounding it out with a melody and a last bass note. So it's 2 times the exact same picking pattern. So it's the exact same picking pattern. There's just one difference. In the first chord, you're alternating between A string, D string, E string, D string. And now, since we don't need that pinky in that chord, we're just alternating between the E string and the D string. Everything else is the same. And we're doing the exact same thing, up 1 fret, just a standard C bar chord on the 8th fret, root note on the 6th string, so bar across 6 strings, adding in the ring finger and the pinky on the 10th fret, and the middle finger on the 9th fret on the G string. But again, we're not using the note on the A string. We keep alternating between the low E string and the D string. Picking pattern, exact same thing. So the exact same thing as we did in the previous bar. All those 3 chords right behind each other. To a E chord with a flat 9 in there, middle finger on the 10th fret on the G string, index finger 9th fret on the B string, pinky 12th fret on the high E string, together with an open E bass string. And then you're going to pump that low E bass string in 8th notes, but we'll get to that in just a second. First, let me play these 4 bars, moving up the neck back to back all the way through. And so on and so on. Maybe one more time, without the thumb over the side of the neck. And then onto that E chord, which sounds just flat on the first beat. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then before the next first beat, you're moving basically the exact same chord down the neck to open E string, middle finger 2nd fret, pinky or ring finger, whatever feels natural, on the 3rd fret on the D string, 1st fret on the G string, and then 2 open strings, again giving you an E major chord with a flat 9 in there. This is how it sounds back to back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. And on the 3rd beat, you're going to end that pumping E bass string. So first chord is on the beat. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. And the second chord is right in front of the first beat. One more time. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3. That little hammer-on and pull-off lick with all the hammer-ons and pull-offs we did up to this point. This shouldn't be a real problem anymore. Starting on the open string, hammering onto the 1st fret. Pulling off right away to the B string, 3rd fret with the ring finger, pulling off to the 1st fret, index finger, to the open string. And then you're going back to, with the thumb pick, to the bass note. Together with an open A bass string, you're going to redo that same pull off from the 1st fret to the open string, ending up on the 2nd fret on the G string. straight into the very same variation we already learned in the first part of the verse. That's a really clever way to lead you back into the verse with that pull-off lick that sort of extends across the bar. So it's sort of like the Phil Collins drum fill in The Air Tonight, where he does the fill across the first beat. This hammer-on and pull-off lick sort of works in the same way. And then you're ready, all set up to head straight into the second verse. Let me play that second part of the verse, starting from the F 6th chord all the way up the neck one more time. Then I'm going to play through the whole verse one more time. And then it's about time we start speeding up things. Here we go, one more time. Into the second verse. Sometimes Tommy adds in that low G bass note again. Like he did in the intro, sort of to set up the second verse. If you like that, you can add it in as well. That was the whole verse. Now, the good news is everything else in terms of the verse is repetition from now on. No variations, no clever tricks, no things that are different each and every time. This is repeated in full for another 3 times. So let me play it one more time, really slowly, and then from then on, I'm going to start and speed up the rest of the verses. Here we go, one more time. I can really feel I really have to fight the urge of already speeding this up, because that is where the real fun lies. The chorus will be something for part 2, and I will see you back next week. Take some time getting this into your fingers, and don't forget to have fun while working on all this. See you next week. Bye bye.